Welcome, kayak anglers. You are tuning into the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network, kayak fishing's best network of shows with great hosts covering all things kayak fishing, bringing you special guests covering topics such as shore fishing, river trips, gear reviews, angler profiles, tournament news, and more. Sit back, relax. Let's do this.
Chasing the 20-inchers Susquehanna River podcast is proudly partnered with these great companies. Railblazer, think outside the tackle box. The Chegan brand, official brand for smallmouth bass. Kayak cushion for them long days on the water. Ken's Jigs, need a custom jig? Don't look any further. Thanks for watching, and welcome to the show. Could this be the 20? I don't know. Welcome, everybody.
Woohoo!
What's up, Sean?
Not much, man. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Just got off the water about an hour and a half ago.
Same.
I seen you out there.
Yep.
It was a pretty windy day out there. The wind beat me up. When I get home from after a windy day, I'm so freaking tired.
Yeah, and it definitely made it colder than it really felt like, when the wind wasn't blowing. But
yeah, I had 3 bites, landed 1 fish within, I guess it was like a 3-hour time span. I just couldn't find the fish today.
I had 1 bite and landed it on a chatterbait, and that was the only bite that I had. So definitely a little slow for me too.
Yeah. So, welcome everyone to Chasing the 20-inchers, the Susquehanna River podcast. In this episode, we do have Joe Raymond in the green room. He's going to be our special guest today. But first, we're going to go over the river levels, and then we'll go into the photos that people sent in, and then we'll bring Joe in here. First, we have Harrisburg. They're sitting at 5.52 feet, and it looks like kind of leveling out a little bit. It was a little high a couple days ago. Next, we have Lewisburg, and that's sitting at 5.74 feet. Also looks like it's leveling out. Next, we have the Marietta sitting at 38.22, and also looks like it's leveling out. And then we have the North Branch up in Towanda, which it looks like they're on the upswing. They're sitting at 3.28 feet. So me and Sean were both on the river today, and it was high, and it was moving pretty good for kayaks anyway. But
yeah, I saw a boat that even he was, not doing horrible, but he was definitely not moving super easy either. So
yeah,
I wouldn't have wanted to paddle it. That's for sure. I was on my motor pretty much all day.
Yeah, me too. I wouldn't even went if I'd had a paddle. So every podcast we do a little thing where we have people send photos in of their smallmouth bass from the Susquehanna River. We're going to start off with this one here. Alex Goby. Looks like a beautiful fish.
That's a tank.
Sure does. And then Carlisle Esterly, which that was my fish from today. It was probably about a 15-incher. I didn't even measure it.
Look at the sky. That looks amazing.
Yeah, the sky was the clouds today were pretty cool looking. JP Poole caught that. He said he caught that this morning.
Nice.
That's a nice fish. And then Mike Reinhold with his fishing buddy there. And that doesn't look like a small fish.
No.
And then we got Ryan, the T-Man Raritan. And it looks like he's trout fishing.
Yeah,
And
he's chasing the golden ones now.
it also looks like he might be drinking something a little special there. Next we have Scott Hepner
Scotty
with a
Hebner,
nice
yep, nice
smallmouth.
fish, bud. Yeah.
He's always sending in some nice fish. And then last but not least, Spinnerbait Steve with a beautiful bronze back there.
Heck yeah, that's a monster.
Yeah. So we just want to thank you guys for sending in your photos. We appreciate all the photos that you guys sent in. So what do you think, Sean? You want to get right into it with Joe here? He's waiting in the background. I'm sure
Heck
he's
yeah.
he might have been on the water today, so why don't we bring him in here?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, everyone. Welcome Joe Raymond to the show. What's up, Joe? How you doing?
What is up, guys? I'm good. How are you doing?
We're doing well. We're doing well. We just we got to fish today, so that was a good thing for us. We don't get to go out very much.
Oh yeah,
But
you don't get to go out. Hey, listen, can you hear my dehumidifier just kicked on? Can you hear that?
No, it doesn't sound bad.
No. Your sound sounds pretty good.
All right.
Yep. So were you out on the water today, Joe?
I was.
What?
Yeah, I did a guide trip today.
Nice.
Yeah. It started off a little slow. After the storm system that rolled through over the week, starting on, I guess, Thursday, Friday, it was a little nasty on Saturday. And today, it moved out, higher pressure moving in, cold wind out of the north. It started off slow. I didn't know how many fish we were going to end up with, but we put a solid day together. It turned out all right.
Nice.
Yeah.
So before we start getting into it, do you want to introduce yourself and let people know like what you do, what your guide service is called, and whatever you want to say as far as introducing yourself.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Joe Raymond. My name's Joe Raymond. I am the owner of Susquehanna Smallmouth Guides, smallmouth guiding outfit based out of Duncan in Pennsylvania. Started it in 2014. Back at that time, I was still a working man and just kind of guiding on the side. In 2016, I quit my full-time job and jumped into guiding full-time. I also do boat flooring. I started that in 2020, installing aqua traction. The name of that business is Precision Templates. I guess it doesn't really have a whole lot to do with your show, but I don't know, maybe some listeners might be interested in get some custom flooring done on a boat.
Absolutely.
I get it on kayaks too. I've actually done a couple kayak jobs.
Okay.
But yeah,
Nice.
I'm sure that would help with sound dampening.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know, that sound dampening, comfort. I guess if you stand up a lot in your kayak, it would, it's non-slip.
Yeah.
You get more traction, you get more traction out of it. So that's nice. But yeah, so I hope that's an all right introduction. I am a full-time fishing guide. That's what I do. I guide, as much as I can. I get the paychecks while I can. Most of the work that I do is on the Susquehanna River and the Juniata Rivers, but I also spend some time in New York, upstate New York, on the St. Lawrence River in the spring and the fall. Every year that I go up there, it's for less time. I don't know how much longer I'm going to do it. This year I am scheduled to go up. Actually going to leave in a week, and I'll be up there probably till the end of May. And then I am scheduled to go back up again in the fall for a few weeks. And that's fun. I mean, have you guys ever fished up north?
I've never been up there. I was thinking about going up there this year.
Yeah.
I fished the PA, kind of right up to the PA line, but I've never fished in New York.
Okay. Yeah. It's, smallmouth fishing. I guide for smallmouth in the spring. It's mostly smallmouth. We get into some walleye and stuff in the fall and some muskies in the fall. But I would say I specialize in guiding for smallmouth, putting people on smallmouth up there.
Now, do you do that? Do you leave the Susky to go up there just because of the spawn here, or is that one of the reasons?
You know what? I don't even know why I do it anymore. At the end of the year, when I count up the money I make, I don't know how much more I make by going up there. I guess it's just the breath of fresh air. It's
Just
nice to
something
get out of
different.
it is nice to get out of here in the spring. This place gets so busy. You know, the Susquehanna River is an awesome fishery. So many fish out there. It's probably one of the best. It's absolutely one of the best smallmouth fisheries in the world. This place puts up the pressure better than anywhere else that I fished, but still, the boat traffic, all the just there's so many people out there. It gets really busy, and as a fishing guide, it does kind of start to wear on you. So in the height of the busy season here, it's kind of nice to be able to duck out and go up there. And when I leave to come back here, everything's kind of settling down, and that's really what keeps me going up there. But and the fish are bigger. I mean, I'm sure you've seen pictures of the smallmouth from the St. Lawrence River. It's probably more common. It's more common to catch 6-pounders up there than it is 5-pounders here. Catching a 6-pounder up there would be like catching a 4.5-pounder here.
Wow.
And depending on where you go, where I go, it's not actually known for having the biggest, smallmouth at least out of the St. Lawrence. The biggest smallmouth in that system are closer to Lake Ontario, and I'm further up. I'm closer to Messina. I mean, there's still big ones. We get a bunch of 6s. We've gotten a couple 7s. It's a special place. It is a special place. But that place, it's really good in the spring, and it's really good. It's really good in the spring, and it's good in the fall. But over the summer, it's a difficult place to fish. It's not where it can be fun and challenging. It's an electronics deal where you got to be really good at reading mapping, and you got to be really good at using forward facing sonar. And that is fun, but it's not what I want to do when I'm guiding. I don't want to be staring at a screen and pointing, guys, you got to throw that way. You got to let your line strip down. You got to get it down in 35 feet of water. I mean, it's a tricky place to fish over the summer. So it's nice to be able to come back here. I mean, this is the place to be. And I won't be going up there forever. When I do go up there, I work out of an it's a Native American reservation. I don't know if you guys have heard any stories about it. I get some grief for going up there sometimes because people consider it is private water, but it makes it's water that's governed by a Native American tribe of Akwesasne, and it can be really special.
So not everybody can just go and fish there. Do you apply for permits, or how does that work?
You can buy. So they do sell fishing licenses to outsiders. They would sell, I guess it would be like a fishing license for non-community members, but the fishing license is only good through I believe it starts the 3rd Saturday in June, and then it expires October 10th. So you can only fish there when the fishing's not even really good.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And they're pretty strict about it. Every year I go up there, they're more strict about it. They're really nice people, but I understand why they want to keep it to themselves. I mean, it'd be like, man, if I could have a private section of water here on the Susquehanna, and if you're like, why not enforce that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And where they are at is one of the best. It's a neat area. Like I said, it doesn't have the biggest smallmouth in the system, but it's got a lot of them. A lot of walleye. It's a pretty special place. It's pretty cool.
I've heard cool stories about the St. Lawrence before. I always wondered how it compared to the Susky, like size wise or like depth wise. Is it a completely different river?
It is mind-blowing how big that thing is. Before I went up there, the Susquehanna was like the center of my universe. I thought, nothing could be bigger, nothing could be better. Like there's no way. But I heard stories of the St. Lawrence, but it's just hard to wrap your head around how big that system is. So the Susquehanna River drains out 27,000 square miles of land. the St. Lawrence River drains out 580,000 square miles.
Wow.
It's the
Wow.
drainage. It's the drainage for the entire Great Lakes system.
Wow.
So really the water that, pisses into even, Lake Superior, eventually, this is kind of crazy to think about. The water that goes through Lake Superior, when it goes through, when it starts at the furthest point from the outflow, it takes 194 years for it to flow through that lake.
Wow.
And then it also has to go through all the other lakes. It would go through Huron, and then if you look at a map, eventually it goes through. What is the other big lake up? It goes through Erie, Ontario, but St. Clair. It's all connected, and then the St. Lawrence is the final outflow. Like, do you follow cubic feet per second? Like when you look at the river gauge?
Yeah.
So the Susquehanna right now might be running what, like 25,000, 30,000?
I think Marietta was 40 when I looked
Is
at
it
it
running
today.
40,000 right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So the St. Lawrence runs 500,000 every day.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah. It is so freaking massive. It's wide, it's deep, and the current rips. It's hard to wrap your head around that much water. It moves as fast as the water on the Susquehanna, but there's areas of it that, where I fish that are 60 feet deep, and it's still ripping like that. And it's a
Wow.
mile wide.
That's crazy.
There's
That's
areas of it, there's areas of it up towards the mouth, closer to Lake Ontario, that are 7 miles wide.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
just it's a massive system, and it's packed full of food. Between gobies and shiners and alewife, and they eat a lot of perch, especially in the fall. There's massive schools of perch, tiny little perch, but they show up on a forward-facing sonar. I find perch schools that are like the size of a house. They'll be in like 40 feet of water, and they're giant, and there's fish swimming all around them, like carving through it. It's
That's
neat watching
awesome.
it on forward-facing sonar. You can see the bass and walleye and muskies carve through it.
Wow.
It's a
That's
totally different system. The fish, they're the same fish, so you can catch them on the same baits, but generally you need a lot more weight to get down to them. Here you're using 1/8 ounce, quarter, maybe 3/16 quarter ounce. Up there you're using much heavier stuff to get down. But it's I am excited to go up there and see some of those fish. The downside of going up there and seeing those fish is it's kind of hard to readjust to these fish. It takes some time. These fish are awesome. This place is awesome. The Susquehanna is an awesome freaking fishery. The fish, it seems like they keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but those fish up there are just on another level. It's a whole nother caliber of smallmouth. Anything that comes out of the Great Lakes system, or any of the smallmouth that are coming out of systems that have gobies in them, seem to be, like Cayugas cranking out monsters. Any of those bodies of water that have gobies in them are just cranking out giant fish now.
I've heard that gobies are a good food source.
You wouldn't believe how many of them there are. The bottom of that river is just covered in gobies, and that's part of the reason why I think the fishing does get tough up there when the water warms up. There's fish everywhere. And you can mark them on forward-facing sonar, mark them, and you don't know. I ended up getting an AquaView camera because there's so many fish up there that I was marking and we couldn't catch. So I got an AquaView. Are you familiar with what an AquaView is?
Yeah.
It's the camera on a cable, and it has a screen that you can drop down. So you drop the camera down in 40 feet of water, and as soon as it hits the bottom, you spin it around and you're like, all right, yeah, they are bass, but then the bottom is just covered in gobies.
Wow.
And then, at one point, I remember I had a guy that was, dangling a Ned rig, and the camera turned and I'm looking at it. And I'm like, dude, why would these fish eat a Ned rig with, like, that thing just looks so dumb and out of place. Not that a Ned rig isn't an awesome bait, but in that crystal clear water up there, even in 40 feet of water with that AquaView, it's crystal clear, like pool water.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you need a goby imitation, probably.
Nothing is like live bait.
Right.
It's I mean, you can catch them on goby imitations, but when the bottom of the river is covered in gobies, it's like, why would they, when it's covered in gobies that are scooting around and, acting, they're alive, they're behaving like a live fish. And, that place does get a lot of fishing pressure. They're probably just a little more cautious about what they eat now. But then, so I have a theory. Once the water temperature drops past a certain number, I think those gobies start to burrow and go dormant. And I believe that's why the fishing gets really good in the fall again, and why the smallmouth would transition from eating mostly gobies to, cutting through those schools of perch. And it does become easier to catch them the colder the water gets.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think that they get tired of eating the gobies because there's so many of them?
I don't know, man.
Maybe that's why they're.
I don't think they're too picky. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think if they can eat, they're gonna keep eating.
Yeah, smallmouth are opportunistic feeders. Whatever is in front of them, they're gonna eat. Whether it's gobies, crawfish, but you just wouldn't believe how many gobies are on the bottom of that river. You'd have to drop an aqua view down and see it for yourself. Like, even per square foot, there's probably like 5 or 6 gobies per square foot.
Wow.
They're everywhere. They cover everything. As soon as the camera goes down and hits the bottom, those things are scooting around.
No wonder them fish are so big up there.
Yeah, I mean, they eat and eat and eat, and I do believe that the genetics are different up there too. That's just the way it is with fish and animals all over the place. There might be a stronger, just stronger genetics in certain areas. I mean, those fish are native to that waterway. Those fish have always been there. The smallmouth and the Susquehanna have only been here for 100 years, or they're not native. Really, all the fish that are in the Susquehanna now aren't native. They've found a way to find it home and thrive. But I do wonder what would happen if there was native or maybe great. I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure guys have brought Great Lake strain smallmouth down here. I mean, maybe that's why there are so many different shaped fish down here.
Right.
Yeah.
You catch some that are short and fat.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me more of Great Lake strain smallmouth.
The really tall ones, the ones that
they're just
fill up your whole bump board.
I mean, you every now and then you catch an 18-incher that's like 4 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's more. But dude, up there, I mean, we've caught 18-inchers that are over 5 pounds.
Wow, that's like a real football.
Yeah, I caught an 18-incher on Lake Ontario that was 5'13". I mean, it was just blimp.
Yeah.
It also cranks out. Did you hear about the state record that got caught up there last year?
Probably seen it, but I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 23. It was the same day that I caught the big one on the Susquehanna. The one that I caught was 24 inches. The one that he caught was 23 inches. The one I caught was 7 pounds. The one he caught was 9 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he caught a shorter fish that weighed 2 pounds more than the one I caught.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's from all the gobies.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Yeah, gobies. It's just it is mind blowing how much forage there is up there. They never run out of stuff to eat. They just gobble.
We wanted to get into that fish that you caught last year, and we want the coordinates. And no, I'm just kidding.
I don't even remember where I caught it, to be honest. Now I know right. That is something I will never forget, and that is the first fish that I caught off that spot. I still can't believe that happened. I mean, that is just like during
a tournament.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those situations. I can't believe I landed it because I lost 3 or 4 good fish that morning before I hooked into that one. I mean, up there, a good fish is in between 2 and 3 pounds. Generally, those tournaments up there are won with in between like 12 and 15 pounds. So if you can go back to the scales with like a 3 pound average,
you're good.
You're doing really good. So
yeah.
But they do get monsters up there. I mean, did you see the one? That guy caught that fish again.
Yep.
I'm sure you saw that.
Yeah, we wanted to get into that too.
Yeah.
We were kind of like, well, I don't know about Sean, but for me, I was kind of curious to wonder, like, Now, I'm not asking for any kind of information, but I was kind of curious on how far away that guy caught that fish to where you caught it, like how far that fish is traveling.
So
And
that fish, because it was a weigh-in tournament, I brought it back maybe. It was probably a 15-mile ride from where I caught it to bringing it back and weighing it in.
Mm-hmm.
And I released it there where I weighed it in, and that guy that caught that fish again. There's some deeper water close to that launch, that area where I released that fish, and that fish must have. So this is kind of crazy. I guess it doesn't matter that I say this, but going back, I'm just going to tell the story about that tournament, the one that happened a month ago or whatever it was, where the guy caught it the second time. We went back to the weigh-in. We had a decent, I forget what we had, maybe like 13 and a half pounds, and we struggled all day long. And because we struggled, I thought, the bite might have not been that good. Maybe everybody struggled. We might be in this. We might get a paycheck. You never know what can happen up here. But we ran way past everybody else. It's kind of funny because I ran way past all the water that the electronics that I have on my boat would have actually played a big part. Pretty much everybody stayed in this deeper water where the fish winter, and we ran way the heck up, like close to. We didn't quite go to where I caught that fish last summer, but we ran far up, and I was just basically. I don't pre-fish for these tournaments. This was only the fourth time I had ever fished up there. I never fished up there that time of the year. I never fished up there in the spring. I just went up there and ran the same pattern that I was running down here, and figured, we're not going to skunk, you know what I mean? But it was a grind. The first two spots that we hit, nothing. And then I ended up getting a 370, which is a big one up there. It's close to 4 pounds.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe that had a chance of longer. We bounced around all day. We might have caught 20 fish. It was a 15-inch limit, and it's hard to catch 15 inchers up there. And, by the end of the day, like I was saying, I thought because we struggled, maybe everybody else struggled, we got to run back there. We got to get back in good time and weigh these fish in. So we get back there, and there had already been weighing some fish in. And there's a guy that has a 4-pounder. There's a guy that, he's already, or no, it's a 450. He's got a 4.5 pounder. And I'm like, well, this guy's got longer. And, we're talking to everybody, and everybody's like, yeah, we just stayed here. We just fished the pool. And I'm like, how many fish did you guys catch? And they're like, I don't know, 25, 30, 40, everybody's saying different stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys freaking clobbered them. we probably would have did better if I would have just never even started my motor and just dropped the scope in the water and just fished all day. Would have been like fishing the St. Lawrence. I can fish like that. Because I didn't pre-fish and I didn't know what was going on that time of the year up there, that I just tried doing the same thing. But anyhow, everybody's weighing their fish in, and we're getting towards the end. And I think it was the third to last guy to weigh in. He brings one up. He brings a bag up. And I think it was close to an 18-pound bag, which is a giant freaking bag up there. And he had a 572,
Wow.
which is like, there's many people that fish the Susquehanna that have never caught a 572. That's a freaking stud, like a giant fish. So it was a big deal. Like, wow, the guy got knocked off with the 4.5 pounder. Now we're looking at like basically a 5 3/4. Another guy weighs in. I don't remember what he had, but then I think it was the very last guy to weigh in. This guy brings the bag up, and the guy, working the scales, he pulls the fish out, and I'm like, no freaking way. Like, we just got done looking at a 5 3/4, and this fish dwarfed it. I'm like, dude, that's the fish. That he caught that freaking fish, and they wrapped it up, weighed it. It was, when he caught it, it was 672. And I knew it had to be the same fish. I ran up, and so the fish has a blemish on its side. It's on its right side. It's a mark that's just easily identifiable. And I wanted to see if it had it. And I ran up and checked it out, and sure enough, it was there. The fish was leaner. Like, as soon as we pulled it out of the bag and I looked at it, like, the fish is huge. The fish is, it's 24 inches long and it's tall. But when you flipped it over and you looked at its belly, it was lean. It was down probably 6 ounces from when I caught it, 5 or 6 ounces. So it turned out this guy that caught it, he caught it in one of the deeper areas in this pool, mud bottom. And the other guy that caught the 572, he was very close to him. So both these fish kind of came out of the same spot. I don't know exactly where it's at. They didn't tell me. I don't like prying information like that out of people. It could have been close to the launch, or it could have been way up. I don't know. I mean, They could have been. I feel like those guys are pretty cool. I don't think they sandbagged me too bad, but man, if they know a hole that there's giants like that sitting, I'd keep that.
I'd keep that a
close
secret.
to my chest. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's I don't mind sharing some information, but there's some that you can, I want to help people catch, but you don't have to burn all your spots.
Yeah. I mean, and tournament guys especially. I mean, dude, tournament guys are so competitive. I mean, those guys up there are cool. The camaraderie and everything like that, when you go up there is great. I don't go up there enough to get sucked into the drama or really know everybody real well to, just get caught up in all the gossipy crap. But I know, just tournament guys they keep stuff tight to their chest. That's how you got to be, especially if you know where there's a hole where there's a freaking 572 and a 672 laying close together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mind-blowing. And it's weird. I mean, there's a lot of small fish up there, but there's a couple big ones.
How old do you think that fish is?
The one that the 672, it's so hard to say. I believe so. It must not be a female, because females right now would be packed full of eggs. Or if it is a female, it doesn't produce eggs. It could be just some kind of genetic freak that can't even reproduce. That's possible. Or it's a giant male. To age it, it's hard to say. When I caught it last summer, that fish didn't behave or look like an old fish. Like, we catch 21, 22 inchers that you pull them, they don't fight real hard. And when you pull them out of the water, you can tell their fins are all cut up. They're lean. They're just not doing well. You can tell it's a really old fish. That particular fish was just pristine. That fish fought and looked like a 17 incher. And I wouldn't be surprised if that fish isn't any older than the average 17 incher. I don't have any way to prove that, but just based on the way that thing looked and the way that it fought and the condition that it was in, I mean, I guess, when we hit our adult, you hit 18 years old, you're usually full grown. I don't know, maybe people grow a little longer than that. Whatever the age is that humans top out at growing, some of us top out at 5 feet, some of us top out at 5'10", and then there's guys that go to freaking 7, whatever. There's guys that not everybody's the same, and I believe it could be the same for the fish. That fish just might have freak genetics where it grew really fast. And that's kind of what I think is the deal with that fish. And I do believe after that fish got caught for the second time, I truly do believe that's probably.
That makes sense that it would be younger, that it's been fooled enough to be caught twice. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have the old wiseness that it knows to, be a little more selective.
Yeah. I'm surprised it hadn't been caught before. I mean, I don't know where it came from. I mean, it could have. There's lakes up there. There are, flood control impoundments up there that
think somebody put it in there?
No, I mean, I guess that's possible too, but I don't know where this is the crazy thing about that fish. You could be the wealthiest person in the world and you couldn't obtain a fish like that. There's been very few smallmouth caught that are that long. Like, you don't even catch them that long on the St. Lawrence. Like, where would somebody catch something like that? Right. Something, a 2-foot smallmouth is a thing of, like, it's just hard to believe. I wouldn't have believed it without seeing it myself. Put it that way. But it could have came, there's lakes, there's flood control impoundments up there that feed into, that main river. And there was, last year, there was a bunch of flooding. Maybe maybe it got washed out of one of
Oh
those
yeah.
impoundments. I guess
Yep.
that's possible, but it didn't look, it looked like a river fish. The way it was built, it was just scaled way up. It looked like a river fish, but
Yeah.
it was just on a different scale.
Now you've
Yeah, I
landed
was-
a lot of big fish. Did you know as soon as you hooked that it was something monstrous? Or
Oh my God, dude! That as soon as I hooked, I cast out, flipped my bail closed, reeled my line up tight, and I felt weight right away, and I just hit it, and I thought I snagged a carp, or I just felt it was very, very heavy, but it shot up right away, and it shot straight out of the water and did a backflip.
Oh my.
I mean, you know what a 19 or a 20 incher looks like when they
Sounds
do
like
that?
when they do
Every
that,
single
yeah.
one of them looks like it's 5 pounds.
Yeah.
When that freaking 2-foot fish came up out of the water and did a backflip in front of us, it was like, dude, there's no way. And Tom was sitting back there tying up a leader knot. And I'm like, dude, get the effing net. Like, this is the biggest fish I've ever seen. And he's back there, halfway through his knot. And I'm like, dude, drop it, get the net. Like, we got to get this thing. And he stood up and saw it. And he's like, holy shit, is that even a smallmouth? Like, it looked like it just didn't even.
That's
It
awesome.
it looked like a like when you're on the St. Lawrence or Great Lake water, you catch freshwater drum, and I've caught them up there and been fooled. Like there's been many times being up there where I've caught 7-8 pound drum, and they're close to the same color. They make you think it's a smallmouth until you get it all the way to the boat, and that's what that thing looked like swimming by. It was just. There's no way this is happening right now. There's no freaking way. And I just completely lost composure the rest of the day. I didn't know. I mean, you just think that you're going to wake up and you're going to have to do everything all over again. Like, there's no way this is real. There's no way I caught this fish in a tournament.
I was just going to say, do you keep looking in the live well? I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, it's real.
I mean,
it's still
dude,
there.
that's what I did. That's what I did.
Still in there.
All day
Check the
long.
live well. How many times did you say check the live well?
I don't even know what else we did the rest of the day. I don't even know where we went. I don't know. I don't even know if I caught any more fish, to be honest. I know I caught a couple more. But it just, everything from that point on is just a blur. It's wild.
I remember seeing it online when you posted the pictures, and I think the first thing I did was send it to Sean. And I mean, it was just like, whoa. Could you imagine putting that on a board in a kayak tournament? Like, oh my gosh.
Dude, I mean, yeah, anytime just to have something like that, that's the only way that it's believable, really, is to dump it on a scale or, catch it in a tournament setting.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I mean, if we would have caught that thing just like fun fishing or whatever, nobody would ever believed it.
I was just gonna
it
say
wouldn't have
that.
been the same. Yeah.
Nobody. I mean, it's bigger than that fish is bigger than the ones people bullshit about. Like it's the truth, and it got caught in a tournament.
But both times, right?
Yeah, and because it's been caught, so now the two biggest smallmouth that have ever been weighed in tournaments on the Susquehanna River are the same fish.
The same fish. Yeah.
So that makes me think that it probably is the biggest fish in the river. Like the fish, and don't get me wrong, like there could be a bigger one. There's always that chance, but
that's why we keep fishing.
On this main stretch of river that we fish, these fish just get caught over and over and over and over and over and over again. Like these fish just and I feel like it's like that probably the whole way up and down the river. The only place, if you go further south on the Susquehanna, like where you guys fish, down around Long Level, that's a place I would expect something like this to come from, because that is kind of like a mini St. Lawrence. The further south you get into the impoundments, with the hydro dams, and there's a lot more water for those fish to live in.
Yeah.
Between Long Level, Lake Aldred, Conowingo Pool, and even down below the Conowingo Pool, all the way to the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay. And I do remember hearing stories when I was younger, first getting into fishing, guys telling stories that the biggest smallmouth in the river are down there, which, something like that could be down there too. There's a lot of water for those things to be in. And you have that hydro dam. Have you guys ever fished right below the Conowingo Dam, like surf fished?
No, but I've been there.
Have you heard? Yeah. So, I mean, it's just
Giant,
mind-boggling. It's
giant
mind-boggling.
shad.
Yeah, how much bait is at that dam?
Giant shad.
And you can't get close to it. The only way you can fish that dam is with surf gear.
Yeah. Yeah, they have signs that you can't go past with a boat.
Yeah, back before 9/11, you used to be able to take a boat all the way up to that thing.
Yeah. I heard some wicked stories about that place with boats being in there.
Yeah.
When it was high and then they stopped the dam and then they couldn't get out because the water gets super low.
Right. Yeah.
But so, I'll be down there.
I mean, there could be something else living somewhere, some kind of monster, but
yeah, you never know.
You never know. It's crazy.
I'm sure there's probably more than one.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, there's got to be. There's no way. I have no idea, man. I mean, who knows? There's big ones. It's just not that many 6-pounders. Not that many 6-pounders get caught either.
I would love to see that fish.
I do believe. Yeah, I do believe there was at least one caught this year, possibly two. I just see pictures on social media. There's a guy named Dean Inch that was fishing in a NAS tournament maybe 3 weeks ago, and he caught one. There was 621 or something like that.
Wow.
I forget the exact numbers, but it was over 6. I don't know. So the way that those tournaments work is you weigh the fish on the boat and then release them. And I believe the two people on the boat are fishing against each other to keep it honest. And I think in some of those tournaments, they count the weight of the bag. And I never dug into it to see if that included a bag or not. Either way, it's a giant fish.
Yeah.
But the bag, a wet bag can weigh a 1/4 pound or something like that. So that is the difference. Or it could be the difference. But dude, I saw pictures of it and it looked like a freaking giant. Like it looked like a very large fish. So
right,
it's neat. It's neat that they're popping up. That's what keeps people inspired, and that's what keeps the smallie bug so active in everybody.
Yeah, for sure. I'm still trying to catch my first 20-incher. I've got super close a bunch of times, but I've never broke the 20-inch mark yet.
Where do you fish at for the most part?
We fish Wrightsville, and then we do a tournament trail that goes all over the place. We do North Branch, the main stem. I've never been on the West Branch, but we City Island, fish up there. All over the place, really. But I don't know, man. I got this monkey on my back. I just can't get that 20-incher. And I'm sure I hooked into one or two of them because But
dude, all of a sudden you'll get like the first time that you catch one, you'll probably end up catching like 2 in the same day.
Oh man, I can't wait.
And
I hope somebody's with me.
There's a ton of them out there in that stretch. I would imagine if you just got over there on that west bank.
Yeah.
And just throw chatterbaits, lipless cranks, and also square bills. The spinnerbait thing's going to start up soon. Those big, you throw any big swim baits?
Yeah, I caught my first fish on a swim bait. It's like a 6-inch glide bait last week on the kind of doing it.
Yeah.
It was only a 17-incher, but man, what a rush to catch one on a glide bait like that.
Yeah, that is neat. That's like musky fishing.
Yeah.
Throwing that big stuff around, but now this is the time of the year for it.
Yeah, this year I'm gonna start throwing the glide bait a little more. So we'll see. I'm hoping this year is gonna be the deal.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm sure you'll get if you put your. Yeah. So I heard you saying you mentioned earlier that you don't actually get to fish that much. How much do you?
I mean, we get to fish on the weekends, pretty much. That's it.
So you get to fish every week.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you meant like you go out like once a month or once every.
No.
Yeah.
No, we try to go at least once a week. Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was saying that, I meant compared to you because you're a guide. You're on the water, way more than us.
Yeah, there is a little bit of a difference there, I guess.
Yeah. But Joe, we're gonna go into a little commercial break. We'll be back.
Sure. Are we live?
We're live. We're live.
Oh, geez. All right.
No pressure, no
But,
pressure.
All right. Yeah. Cool.
Everybody watching, we got Joe Raymond on the show, and we're going to take a little commercial break, and we'll be right back. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to Chasing the 20 Inchers, the Susquehanna River podcast. We have Joe Raymond here, and we were talking about the giant fish that he caught last year. And it was just recently caught, last month, Joe? Was that last month? It was
Yeah,
caught?
I don't know the exact date, but yeah, it got caught again this year. It got caught in March, a little lighter, but I'm telling you, that fish. Imagine a skinny fish weighing 672. If the river shot up real quick, if the river shot up and that fish got pushed into like an eddy pocket that was jammed full of bait, I bet that fish could put another pound on in a day or so, and maybe
That's
even
crazy.
more.
Yeah.
I think that fish, when I caught that fish, I thought it was a female, and I thought, this time of the year, being in the spring, it'd be full of eggs, and it probably would be 8 pounds. But that fish could eat its way to being close to 8 pounds.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, we were out last week, and all the fish we were catching were really fat.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see that fish in the fall when it's feeding up.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
see how heavy it was.
If somebody, I mean, maybe it'll just keep getting caught over and over again.
That's what I was going to say. I bet you if it is young, I bet you it will be caught more.
It didn't look as good this time.
No, it didn't. I seen the
it
side-by-side picture.
It wasn't a bad, it wasn't a bad looking fish, but it didn't look it didn't look as healthy. And maybe it's because it just, came out of winter from laying. He caught it in the deepest part of the pool in a mud bottom. Like that fish was laying on the bottom. That fish had just woke up. Yeah. So that could be part of it too. It just woke up from winter. But yeah, to catch that fish after, if the river would shoot up and that fish would get jammed into like an eddy pocket that was filled full of bait, it'd be wild.
Yeah,
catch it on a spinner bait, dude. Catch it on to catch something like that and like on a big spinner bait in high water. Oh my god! I mean, dude, that thing would freaking break 30-pound
wire on us. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'd probably snap your damn spinner bait. But yeah,
like what a snakehead does to spinner baits.
Yeah, you guys get into them?
Oh,
they aren't above the safe harbor yet. I don't think.
Yeah, hopefully they stay down. Hopefully,
I'm hoping I don't catch any of those next weekend. We'll be on the Chesapeake for MAKBF tournament.
I wouldn't mind to catch one just to say I did.
I wouldn't be surprised if you catch one.
Yeah,
I know they like really shallow warm water. Is what I've heard. So
yeah, I believe they're migrating to spawn right now too. There's a massive migration of those things that go into the Susquehanna River and up to the Conowingo Dam. You guys might be aware of it. That's why they stopped running that fish ladder down there.
Yep. I was just gonna say that's why they turned off the ladders. So
yeah.
What would happen? What do you think would happen to the river, our river here, if they got into there?
I don't know. I'd probably change my name to Susquehanna Snakehead Guides. I mean, it does seem like they live more in the same kind of water that largemouth live in. So you'd probably see most of them in the lakes, like Goldsboro would end up with them, Long Level, the lakes that we discussed earlier, the whole way down through, they'd have them. And I'd imagine in the spring or whenever they do their spawn run, they probably would run. They direct into the current. I mean, eventually they would end up, in this natural, flow of water. I would imagine anyhow. I don't know. I mean, the bay survived. Like 10 years ago, they were saying if you catch these things, kill them immediately. And I guess in Maryland, maybe they still do tell people to do that. But they said that it was going to destroy the fishery, but it doesn't seem to have destroyed the fishery.
They said that about catfish too, right?
Yeah, I still don't. Those damn flatheads, man. I don't know. They did say it about the flatheads. I shouldn't. I probably am too hard on those catfish. I know that they do chew up some bass, but man, there's as many bass out there right now. There's as many bass out there as there's probably ever been.
Yeah.
And there's so many there. Yeah, it definitely. So it changed. The one thing I will say is where those flatheads live, the bass are not there in the numbers anymore, especially like the wintering holes. There's wintering holes that used to get chocked full of smallmouth that you'd go into like late fall, like November, and you'd just be able to catch 100 fish a day.
In the Halifax area.
No, like Fort Hunter.
Hunter.
There is a ton of flatheads in that Halifax area, though. There's not really a great wintering area there, though.
No.
I mean, I'm sure some fish do winter there, but that's not like a major wintering hole. The major wintering hole is really Fort Hunter, and that's
Fort Hunter. Yeah,
that pool down below the statue. That's like a deep natural hole.
Yeah.
That just you'd be able to go in there in the fall and just catch. It was easy to catch. A bad day would be like 50 fish, but you could we're always catching 100 fish a day. And then the flatheads moved in, and the flatheads are wintering in that hole too. And they might live in that pool year long. They probably do. Yeah. And you don't catch where there's flatheads, you don't catch smallmouth anymore. I mean, there are still smallmouth. Not that area doesn't hold fish in the fall or winter. It does, but it's not the same as it used to be.
Yeah,
for sure. And
I heard stories. 100 fish days and 150 fish days up there in the wintertime.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it still happens, but those fish aren't living where those flatheads are at. They've moved to different parts of that pool. And it seems like it doesn't get the numbers of fish that used to pull in there in the fall. It's not the same as it used to be.
Yeah.
I guess just not as many fish.
So
I wonder where the heck they do all winter at.
Right.
Because so much of this river is shallow. So much of it is 3, 4, 5 feet. I guess maybe they will if it's running 3, 4 feet and then there's a little dip, a little trench or something like that that's got some mud in it. Maybe they are wintering and something like that. It's crazy that they all survived. Like as rough as this past winter was with the amount of ice that we got and ice jams and stuff like that. I remember driving along the river. Every time I drove along the river this winter and it was choked full of ice, you just think, how do those, it's amazing that those fish survive it.
Yeah.
I seen a video of you ripping around on your boat.
Yeah.
In the wintertime.
In the ice.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a cool video.
Yeah, I don't know if that was my boat. I'm hooked up with rock-proof boats. I would be like one of their pros or whatever.
That's a sweet boat.
Yeah, it is a sweet boat. So they allow me to. Well, I wanted to run that test. I wanted to test run that. They have a new outboard jet boat called the Nozzle Jet. It's basically.
Yeah, I remember reading about that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They've been around for a little while. Rockproof decided to get involved with it. There was room for improvement for where it was at, and I feel like a lot of improvement has been made. And it's an awesome handling boat. There's a lot of people that want jet boats, and for Rockproof, for the longest time, all they would provide is inboards, and there's people that don't want inboards. There's people that, they're outboard guys. They want an outboard. So now it's cool to be able to have that option of, having an outboard, but yet it performs as close as you could imagine to an inboard.
Yeah.
And that's where the motor is stationary and the nozzle just turns,
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought I read. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what you take up to New York when you go up there?
I take my Rockproof I only have one boat right now. I did have a Phoenix and 920 Pro XP that I kept up there that I would, I mean, it was a bass boat, like a tournament boat.
Yeah.
And I did some guiding out of that, but I don't know. I mean, for the most part, I would go out and I really just went out on my rock proof, especially with taking guys fishing. You don't want to guide out of a fiberglass boat. At least I don't want to guide out of a fiberglass boat. I had a guy cast. It was, I was chartering up there. I had a guy cast with a drop shot, and he never opened the bail, and he had a tungsten weight that came flying around and knocked the side of the boat and took a big chip. It took a big chip out of the gel coat, and I didn't notice it right away, but I noticed it the next time I went. I washed it. I ended up taking it to a shop to have it looked at to get it fixed. And because of where the chip was at, there was a pinstripe and there was a couple different colors of paint. They wanted $3,000 to fix it.
Whoa.
And I'm like, dude, you can't freaking guide. You just can't guide out of a boat like this. A fiberglass boat, it's just a terrible idea. I need an aluminum boat. Like, I might chip the paint off of my boat, but I can always touch it up easily, myself. And that rock proof isn't the perfect boat for up there either. And there's days where I am very limited to where I can go.
I wondered about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of days up there in the fall where I'm very limited to where I can go. I mean, the nice thing about being on that native reservation, there's like some sheltered areas that I can hide in and always be able to catch some fish. But outside of that, I wouldn't go up there and try and, work that river for a month and a half out of a flat bottom jet boat. On a calm day, you're all right. But in the fall, you do get a lot of rough, you get a lot of high wind, and that river can kick up. I mean, you can have big freaking swells that'll swallow a boat up.
Well, that's why when you were talking about it earlier, I'm like, I don't know that we could kayak that,
Man, I wouldn't go up there with a kayak. That's tough. I'm trying to think where you could even go. I mean, we could talk about it.
Cayuga.
Yeah.
That's where I want to go, Cayuga.
Dude, the place to kayak is the Susquehanna.
Oh, I know that. But...
I mean, it is the easiest place to catch fish, and they're all over the place, and it's a freaking blast.
We do it all the time.
For you to go to Cayuga, I mean, you could go to Cayuga, but Cayuga's a deep. You're going to need electronics. You're gonna.
Yeah, I have forward facing.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Which one?
I have the Eagle i9.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I have side scan and down scan on the other graph.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you could go up there and try and especially. I wish I could help you. I'd
go up there in the spring when they're spawning. That's when I'd go.
Yeah. That's where that guy caught that same fish 2 years in a row, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a state record. It was like 8.5 pounds the first time he caught it, and 9 pounds the second time, and I believe he caught it off the same bed. I've done that too. Where we've caught. It's happened a couple of times up in New York where we've caught the same fish, different years, and it's a big fish with identifiable marks on it.
On the same bed.
Yeah.
Nice.
Same fish on the same bed, 2 different years apart. Well, I'd imagine I didn't actually sight fish them. The first time I caught it, the first time it was caught, it was on a swim bait, and the second time it was caught, it was on a chatterbait, and the water was dirty. I'd imagine the fish were probably on beds, by the way they were behaving, but you couldn't see them.
Yeah.
But I knew I had been in that area when the water was a little lower and clear, and I knew there was a boulder there. And I could just tell by where I was at that it's the same exact spot. I actually said something. A client caught it the first time, and I caught it the second time. And as we drifted past it, I told him, last year a guy caught a 6-pounder there. Fish that. And they're fishing it and fishing it and fishing it. And I honestly don't fish that much when I'm guiding, but these guys were really, they wanted me to fish with them. We were
Yeah.
kind of going back and forth. Sometimes they want to compete, see if those two can keep up with me. So after we had drifted past it, I just hucked that bait back up there, and I was slow rolling it back, and dude, it freaking hit, and I set the hook, and I'm like, dude, I know this is that fish again. I know it's this fish again, because I could tell it was a tank. And after I saw all the marks on its tail, I'm like, yep, that's the same freaking fish.
That's wild.
But yeah, you could try going to Cayuga. That would be sweet. That would, especially if you're set up with that stuff,
Yeah.
get pointed in the right direction.
I did have some questions for you, Joe. So how long have you been fishing the Susquehanna River?
Oh man. I'd have to use my phone to do some math. I mean, my whole life.
Did you grow up here?
I grew up in Lancaster County. So when I was a kid, we would fish. We didn't fish like the northern stretch of the Susquehanna River. We fished Columbia. We fished a lot down below Safe Harbor, that dam, like where the Conestoga dumps in right there. We used to clobber walleye there at night.
Wow.
Like, I don't know what that fish is like anymore, but I remember as a kid, we used to go down there. We had a little tin John boat that we would drag in off the bank on the Conestoga there and get down to the mouth. And we had some awesome days doing that. But I fished the Conestoga a lot, like all the way up through Lancaster County. We fished down at the base. I didn't get into fishing the upper stretch of river heavily until maybe like 2006, 2007 is when I started, traveling further north.
Yeah. That's where the bigger fish are.
I don't know if it's where the bigger fish are, but
well, from where we normally fish in Wrightsville, it seems like when we go up north a little further, they're bigger up there.
Yeah, maybe, dude. There's giants down that way though too. I would have. Long Level is a place where, that sets up to crank out giants. There are giants that live in there. Guys do, especially in this time of the year, dude. You need to get over there on that west bank and just throw big swim baits. If the water's dirty, throw chatterbaits. Just slow roll it along, and you will catch monsters down there.
We never go down there. We only fish that in the wintertime.
No, I mean, like you could fish anywhere from freaking the York Haven Dam down to like Wrightsville.
Yeah.
That whole stretch down through there. That's a neat stretch.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I know Bruner Island kills a lot of fish, but
yeah.
I mean, that's that place's biggest. You know what else is interesting? So, down that way, there's a ton of bow fishing that goes on for flathead catfish. And I believe that the flatheads are getting pretty thinned out down there. And so one of the guys that guides for me, Dale, he fishes down that way a lot. He's going to get mad at me for saying this. But he said that over the past couple years, the numbers down there are really, it's just really coming back. It reminds him of, 20, 30 years ago. It's special. And I do believe, I mean, this is getting back into this catfish thing, but I know that I've heard the guys that fish tournaments for catfish and, the guys that go out, that want to target the flatheads, they're not happy about the amount of bow fishing that's going on down there. Like, they are thinning them out. I'm sure that it's going to help those flatheads eat a lot of fish.
It's going to help the whole system, really.
Yeah, the whole system. Yeah. I mean, they're never going to completely wipe them out, but
no.
Yeah. I mean, there's the correlation of those things, this flathead's getting thinned out, and all of a sudden the bass population rises. Yeah. I don't know if it's hard to rule that out as a coincidence, but it could be. I don't know.
Well, I did want to say, we do have 16 people watching right now. We were going to do a giveaway, but I threw a little spoof in. So we're like 26 subscribers away from 500.
Okay.
I want to get 500 subscribers. I was hoping by the end of the show, but
Yeah,
only at
sorry, dude. If
16.
I didn't know it was a
Um,
live show. I thought you guys were filming it and you were gonna like edit it
no,
and then post it in a week. If
but
I
I
would have
do.
known it was a live show, I would have shared it and tried to get a bunch of viewers for you.
I
Yeah,
have
we can still share it up.
I
Yeah.
have some Railblazers stuff I wanted to give away. So if you go ahead and hit the subscribe button, see if we can get to 500 within the next couple minutes here. We'll do a little giveaway.
Where
But,
is this streaming at? Is it streaming on YouTube and Facebook or?
Yeah, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and then we'll be on all the Apple stuff, right, Sean? You post that up on all the podcasts that you don't watch that you can just listen to.
The audio.
Yeah, you guys will get there.
Yeah.
I mean, once it's posted up, I'll try and send some people your way.
Yeah, so we're close.
I don't watch. Yeah, I've watched some of your stuff. You guys do great content. It's all positive stuff.
Now, are you still running that same boat with it has like the green, not the carpet, it's like that
Aqua Traction? Yeah, that's the stuff that I installed.
Yeah.
And was that new last year?
Yeah.
To you, I think I ran into you in Marysville, the one I think when you first got it. I was like,
yeah,
man, that boat is sweet looking, man.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
is that a 19 footer?
Yeah, it's a 19 footer. It's a 1972 with a 300 Rotex.
Yeah,
it's an awesome boat.
Yeah,
this is the 6th one that I've built, and this is absolutely my favorite. To the point where I don't know that I would even build another one. I've considered just keeping this one and repowering it every so often. The way that this boat is built, it's pretty much indestructible.
Yeah.
You can run it really hard and it's going to take it. And it's kind of, I mean, building a boat's fun and everything like that, and it's cool. And I am hooked up with Rockproof, so. But it's still expensive, it's very freaking expensive, and it's stressful. I got a good boat and a good trailer. I'm probably gonna keep this one for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe sometime this summer, if things slow down, maybe we can hook up and go out for a boat ride and catch a couple fish.
That'd sounds
sweet.
Awesome.
That'd be sweet. Yeah. I did want to ask you, like, for the people that are listening, what's your going rates for like 4 to 6 hours a day in your business you got going on the Susquehanna?
So yeah, we do 6-hour trips for $500 and 8-hour trips for $600. It is a premium price, but we provide a premium service. We have the best boats that you can get. We have high-end tackle. And we operate as fishing guides. We do guide people. It's not like a pay to go fishing with somebody operation. I don't know how. I guess if guys can get away with doing it, that's great. But we try not to fish a whole lot while we're guiding. Like, we are focused on, putting the customer on fish. But we don't stand up front and jack them.
Right.
So yeah, that's it. We would be probably the most expensive guide service on the river, but it's a premium service. If you think about how much for myself, there's so much money invested in this. If you consider the amount of money that is invested between that boat and the tackle that I have, nobody with that amount of money in equipment, whether it's like, you could have a construction business, a lawn care business, nobody's going to operate that amount, that value of equipment for less than $600 a day.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I can.
And honestly, if I had that amount of money invested in lawn care, probably anything else, I'd make way more money. Like, I
can definitely relate to that.
Yeah, you do this. Guiding is one of those things that you don't do to make a lot of money. You do for the lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it's not I know it's not everything everybody thinks. It is a job. Like when you are, it's our job to deal with the stuff that really isn't fun about fishing.
Yeah.
the snags, retying, running the boat, running the trolling motor.
And
Uh,
you got that
not,
pressure on you to find fish.
yeah, I mean, you do get used to that. I mean, at the beginning of it, I guess I can remember, doing some stupid stuff, just choking out. But when you do it every day, you don't even think about it anymore. I don't.
Yeah.
I take some high end people out, and you just don't even. It is what it is. Like you can only, you just fish the moment. I think where guys screw up the most is they try and have they try and set a milk run out, like they have a game plan of what they're going to do, and if what they're planning on doing doesn't work, then they don't know what to do. They can't. I mean, and I don't mean just with guiding. I mean fishing in general. Like you gotta fish the moment. Like I know I know where I'm launching tomorrow, but I don't know where I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I don't really decide until I put the boat in the water and I see who's there. I I fish enough that I recognize boats and trailers and different people, and just seeing who's in the parking lot will dictate where I'm going to go, because a lot of people, they just go to the same spot, whether it's a guide or whether it's fun fishermen. You have to be able to fish the moment and just piece everything together as the day goes on, and that's why I like fishing those tournaments too, and not pre-fishing them, like just doing it straight up like a guide trip. I mean, and sometimes we do really well, and sometimes it does come back and like maybe like for that tournament, just for an example, this past one, if I would have known all the fish stayed in that pool, I probably would have never started my dang motor up.
Yeah. What's the
But
name of
yeah,
that
so
trail?
what's that?
What's the name of that tournament trail with the boat?
I believe it's Williamsport Bassmasters.
Williams. I was just in case
Those
anybody
are-
was listening that wanted to was interested in it.
Yeah, they're open tournaments. I mean, I believe they have a website and a Facebook page. They at least have a website.
Yeah.
If you Google up, search Williamsport Bassmasters, they move around. They don't always go out of the same launch location. I believe most of it is on the west branch of the Susquehanna, but they do jump around to a bunch of different spots. Like I said, I've only fished it 4 times, but I would like to fish more of them. The funny thing is, like, I don't fish a whole lot. I guide every day, but I don't fish that much, and I never go fun fishing. Like, if I go fun fishing, it's usually fishing off the bank somewhere. The only way I can get myself motivated to go out on my boat and fish when I'm not working is to fish a tournament. And I don't know, there's just something really fun about fishing tournaments. Like if I was to go out on my boat and just try and fun fish around here, I would fish for like an hour, maybe catch 3 or 4 fish, and I'd just be like, dude, there's other stuff I should be doing. I don't need to be doing this right now. But when you fish in a tournament, you can't back out after an hour. Like there's a lot. It's like I gotta throw down. If I go back there with a crap bag, I'm gonna look like an idiot.
Yeah.
It makes you fish hard all day long. So I would like to fish more of those things this year. Once obviously it's done for the spring, but I'm gonna go to New York for a couple weeks, and I'll be back the end of May. I don't know when I'd start fishing them, but to any of the listeners, if you want to get up there and check it out, and who knows, maybe we'll see each other up there this fall, because I would like to go up there 1 or 2 more times.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Did you have any questions for Joe, Sean?
I was just going to ask, I don't want you to, give away any trade secrets or anything, but, what does it look like to piece that together? Are you just looking at water clarity, water flow, temperature, that kind of thing? Or what all do you look at?
Man, it's just like, it's like something, I wouldn't even know how to explain it. It's like anything that you do over and over and over and over and over again. I guess, yeah. So you'd look for watercolor, you'd look for flow, but then you got to like know how to make the decisions to like dissect all that. And it's just like anything you do. day after day after day, there's almost like you gain like an instinct for it, like
Yeah.
where you just don't even really have to think about it. You just go.
Just do it.
And sometimes it works.
You see how
like,
it is, and you know, I know exactly what I'm going to throw when it's.
Yeah,
like this.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like even today, today started. Today was today we went out of Montgomery's Ferry. It was the first time that It's really the first time. It's the second time I launched there this year, and I guide almost every day. I went up there. What's
What the
that?
hell was that?
There's
I
balloons on
seen
your
like
feet.
balloons like flying up in front of you.
Balloons?
Yeah.
I think somebody said happy birthday or something to you, or celebrated
No.
something.
Is today your birthday?
No, it's not. My birthday's in February. What was I saying?
You were saying you were at Montgomery Ferry.
Oh yeah. So I went up. I wanted to try. There's been people everywhere, boats everywhere, and I just wanted to go someplace different. So we went up there, and I tried fishing. You know, some of the same spots. You know, just fishing history. It was all guide boats up there, and they're newer guys, and they found. I think the spots that I planned on fishing have been getting hammered.
Yeah.
I believe that's what was going on. So I didn't know if we were going to catch 20 fish today. I was kind of nervous, but as the day went on, we did put a pattern together. Fishing on the west bank, and we ended up with 63 fish.
Wow.
So yeah, and I talked to once we got back, there was two other guys that I talked to, and they didn't do very well at all. I didn't even want to tell them how many fish we caught because they would have been pissed, and they probably wouldn't have even believed us. But it felt like a crappy day. It was funny. We were actually until about like the last hour and a half or 2 hours, it felt like, we still, like, we were joking around about it. Like, you're complaining about catching 30 fish in a day or 35 fish in a day is a bad day, but where else can you do that? Like, there's not many places you can do that. And, there's days, I know people that go out, and if they would have caught 60 fish in 8 hours, they wouldn't have been happy with it. They would have been like, dude, what's going on?
Wow.
Like, that's how good the Susquehanna is, though. Once you really get dialed into it, the Susquehanna is amazing. It is an amazing fishery. And that's why
There's a thing for me today. It was like, with the wind, and we were down in Wrightsville just because it's close to home. We knew we only had a certain amount of time because we had to be back for the podcast and this and that. But
right.
So Wrightsville to me is only a 20-minute drive, and for Shawnee's 5 minutes or something like that.
15, but not, still real close.
Yeah.
What were you guys throwing today?
I was throwing a jerk bait, actually like fire tiger. And that's what I caught my fish on. Vision 110.
Okay. Was the water pretty clear or dirty?
No, it was dirty. That's why I went with fire tiger. It was probably about a foot, maybe a foot of visibility. Ain't showing.
Yeah.
6 inches to a foot.
And I caught mine on a chatterbait. I was throwing a white chatterbait for most of the I think I was only out for 3 hours, 4 hours. Yeah. And I think for the first 2 hours I was throwing a white chatterbait and I didn't get anything on it. And then I switched to a green pumpkin, and second cast I caught the fish I caught, and then 2 casts later I broke it off and then tied the white one back on because it was laying there. But
so there you go.
It's just tough because
take a white chatterbait and take a dark chatterbait and see which one they're hitting on and then stick to that. If you would have been able to stick with that darker colored chatterbait.
I was throwing a black chatterbait.
Yeah,
black. I didn't get a bite. And
really?
I was casting around them bridge pilings, the islands that are out there. Nothing.
Were you slow rolling it?
Yeah, I was slow rolling it, and I had the trailer was like a crawl type trailer. It was a Z-Man's crawls.
Yeah. The Minnow Z is an awesome trailer. That's what I use for the most part. There's so many different trailers. I do use a bunch of different stuff, but I probably throw a 3-inch Minnow Z on more than anything. And I mean, sometimes they want like a hot color, like a space guppy or something like that, and sometimes they want more of like a green pumpkin, or that easy money's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
But to get to the point, like we were fishing around and whatnot, but it was just like we get to that point where like you don't know what's going on. The wind's blowing like crazy. You don't know where to go. It's just like, there's got to be fish around there. I get spun out so easily. I just
dude,
don't know what to
today
do.
it was. What hours were you out? What time did you get off?
I think I got off the water around 3:30. I got there around 11.
Yeah,
It was
right.
probably 1 to 4:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was it
It
just
was
wasn't
blowing.
a great, dude. It wasn't a great day. Yeah, I mean, it was yeah.
I mean, a good day for me is 15 fish.
Yeah,
That's a good day for me.
It wasn't a good day like for fishing conditions. Like the system, high pressure,
Yeah.
post
Just
front.
coming off all that cold.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was. I mean, that's the other thing about instinct to doing this. Like I can feel, or I just know when it's high pressure, when it's low pressure. I don't have to look at anything. I just know what's going on, and you can kind of like, adjust your fishing to that. Maybe fish slower. If you're not getting bites and you're fishing where there's fish, like you just have to really slow down. Like just fish so slow. Even
longer
dragging
pauses.
I was going to say maybe not, or switch from a chatterbait or something I would consider more power fishing to something like a jig or something you're really going to go slow with.
Yeah. But dude, stick to that west bank down through there, and you'll catch. Dude, there's big ones that migrate up. They migrate upriver this time of the year.
The West Bank is normally dirtier, right?
No.
No.
Well, I mean, I guess it depends. Normally, the west bank is the cleaner water.
The cleaner water.
At least on the. It depends on. I mean, you guys might get hit by a storm though. That a storm in York that dirties up one of those, like the Conawago or the Cadorus. I mean, you might have gone over there already, where the middle of the river looks clear, and then it's mud over there against that bank, and it's probably because of rainfall, somewhere upriver that's getting pumped out of. I've seen that. I used to spend a lot of time down there, and I do know what you're saying. Sometimes but generally the west side of the river is the cleaner water.
Okay.
And down there, I think they use that side of the river to migrate, to spawn. So I would imagine if you stay over there, just make drifts. I mean, there's fish. There's going to be fish all over the place down there, but yeah, I'm not saying all of them are on that bank, but your chances of catching a big one are probably better if you stay more on that side.
Yeah, the drifts were fast today. That's for sure, because you had the wind and the current blowing you.
Yeah.
But I power pull down every once in a while and just work a section. That's it.
Right. Yeah, dude. It wasn't. Don't get down on today though, because it was not great fishing conditions.
Yeah.
It'll get better, especially as the water temperature drops significantly. Like, probably a 15-degree drop at least. And in some of the tributaries, at least the main river was down at least 10 degrees. 2 weeks ago, it was there was water. I was marking water on the main river at 57 degrees.
Wow.
And we got that cold snap. I know one morning, when I put the boat in the water, it was down to 42.
That definitely pushed them back.
It screws them up. I mean, it's not going to hurt them, but it definitely changes. During that warm up when the water temperature went to 57 degrees, we had a couple days. We had one day where we got on a spot. We caught 100 fish in like 3 hours.
Wow.
With people around too. I felt bad. I mean, it's a good spot, a good area, but we were on the spot, like the best part of it. and they were just catching fish every freaking cast, every freaking cast. It would have been the warmest of those days, and then things started to cool down, and it's just been. I mean, we're still catching them, but don't get down on a day like today. There'll be much better days this spring.
Yeah. At least it's not. At least we're not like flooded out like last year.
Yeah, I mean, dude, we could have. If you remember what the forecast looked like 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah, we could have. Yeah.
I mean, I thought we were going to get absolutely devastated. Well, I figured that the river was already high and dirty. The river was already high and dirty, and it wasn't fishing great. And we're forecasted to get like 3/4 of an inch of rain on Friday, and what was it?
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, I think.
Yeah, we were supposed to get like a total of 2.5 inches of rain or something like that. We were supposed to get a bunch of rain, and it was looking like, I mean, the river gauge was already showing a rise.
Yeah.
And somehow it just freaking avoided us.
Yeah, that's good because
I mean, it still isn't. Yeah, it is good.
Hoping we have a really good spawn this year.
Yeah, people get all worked up about that, and I don't even know what to say about it. Like, it does suck when the fish go on beds, and they spawn, and that they're freaking guarding their beds and everything like that, and then a big, you get hammered with some kind of storm, and the river goes way up, and you think that there's no way that they would survive that. But then the Fish Commission comes back like the next year after they do their surveying, and they say last year was one of the best years of recruitment that we've seen. So,
and those fish are tough.
They somehow, nature finds a way to survive.
Yeah, if they can survive them ice jams and all that stuff, it's, I guess, them floods ain't nothing to them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the biggest threat to them really is the fishing pressure. I mean, thank God that. Thank God it's catch and release. I wish there was more people watching. I wish just to get the word out that I know that there has been talk of them opening this stretch of river back up to where people could keep the fish again.
Yeah.
And it would ruin this place.
Yeah.
The catch and release regulations that are in place right now are why this thing is so special. And I don't care what anybody says. If they open this thing back up and they let people keep fish and they let people fish weigh in tournaments, it's not going to happen immediately. But after 2 or 3 years, you're going to be like, wow, what happened? Yeah. And I don't know how at that point you'd ever get them to change it back. And I know that there's talk of them opening it back up. I think you'd be surprised at how many people would actually keep fish. Not us, bass heads, but there's a lot of people that will go to the river with shiners and catch a limit of fish and take them home and eat them. Mm-hmm. And when you're allowed to do it, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, you can't even say anything to them about it because it's legal, but it will have an effect, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we do post this on the YouTube channel. So, and we get about, I'd say around 350 to 400 people watch. So, just because there's only 18 right now, 18 watching live, we will get a lot more views.
Yeah.
It's just the time we do we started it in the winter time, and we got a lot more live viewers because it was dark by then. But now it's still light outside at 7:30.
Yeah. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it like that. I do kind of wish that if I would have known it was live, I would have pumped it. But we'll share it, and the word will get out. That's something that I really do want the word to get out on, though, and for people to really think about. And if you know somebody that's in some kind of position of power or whatever, or has a voice somewhere, this thing is the way it is because of these regulations. And I thank the Pennsylvania Fish and Boat Commission for doing it, because it's made really there's the best smallmouth fishery in the world. Really, it's got to be. I mean, there's places you can go that you catch bigger fish, but fish per acre, I don't see. There's probably more fish per acre I mean, there might be small rivers like the Penobscot or something like that in Maine. The Susquehanna has a ton of fish, and it's because of those regulations. It's a very special fishery, and it's protected, and it needs to stay that way. The thing the Fish Commission would have to think about is, how many licenses are they selling to people that are coming here to fish for bass? And it's a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
But if this thing goes backwards, and 2 or 3 years people aren't catching the fish the same, and they're hearing that, yeah, they did open it up, and they're just going to be like, you know what? I'm not going to waste my time with this anymore. This isn't, they screwed it up, and they're not going to buy the licenses anymore. There is a chance of that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. It could just be dumb rumors, but I've heard it. I've heard enough talk of it that it does worry me.
I don't know why somebody would want to eat a fish out of the Susquehanna River just because all the shit that goes into that river.
I know. It is. But dude, listen. I don't know if anything we eat is healthy. I had a guy on my boat the other day he's like, I would never eat anything out of this river. And I'm like, dude, you smoke cigarettes. Like, right on the pack it says these things are going to kill you. Like, I don't think you have to worry about eating a fish out of the Susquehanna River. Like, eating something even from McDonald's is probably worse for you. I mean, I'm not encouraging people to eat smallmouth by any means.
No.
But there are fish that you can eat out of the Susquehanna. Like, if you want to eat something, catch those catfish.
Yeah.
Those catfish, those flathead catfish are probably the best eating fish in the river.
Yeah.
I've had them a few times, and they're delicious. I mean, the flathead meat is white, big flakes. It's awesome. Bake it or, pan fry it in butter. It's very good fish. But there's people that I don't know why they want to keep the smallmouth, but it's funny, going up and fishing those tournaments in Williamsport. Up there, obviously, they can fish way in tournaments because they don't have catch and release regulations. And those guys up there bitch like hell about the people that keep the stringers of fish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they actually believe that their tournament fishing helps that fishery because they are relocating fish. They will go up and catch fish in areas where there might be campgrounds or where it's just notorious for these the bucket brigade to be there, the crowd of people that keeps the fish. Mm-hmm. They fish this water, so the tournament guys go up there and they catch the fish, and they're getting them out of there and taking them back and releasing them somewhere else, and it might actually be helping the fishery. But hearing their stories of what these people, some of them are I guess guys keep a stringer of fish and they post the pictures on social media,
and then they get fried on there.
It's kind of like poking the bear,
Yeah. We had a guy come up to us at a show one day. What was that? He caught a 20, what was it, like a 22-incher or 23-inch smallmouth out of the Susquehanna. And we were like,
oh yeah, we were talking to him about it, and he was like, oh yeah, I kept it.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
During the dude, people still do it.
Well, he said it came off his stringer. He had it on a stringer.
Oh, that's right.
Off.
It yeah.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Was this in the period of time when you're not allowed to keep them, like more recent?
We don't know. I don't remember.
He didn't really say, but
it was at a show.
Oh, okay.
It was at a show in February that we were at, and he was, we were all excited for him because he caught a big fish, and then he's like, "Yeah, I put it on the stringer and it got off."
Oh,
we were
my goodness!
We were like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" Like, we didn't say nothing, but
yeah. I mean, if it's legal to keep them, you can't say anything. I remember I used to go fishing at Bruner Island all the time. Like, this is before catch and release regulations, back when you used to be able to fish way up in that discharge at Bruner Island, fish off the bank. Did you guys ever do that?
I've never done it, but I've heard.
It used to be the craziest place I mean, that's really where I got obsessed with smallmouth fishing. But anyhow, there'd be guys there with freaking stringers of fish and big ones, like the you could catch them there, especially on live bait. I mean, you could catch big ones there on artificial all day long. That place used to be amazing. And the same guys would come every day and keep a limit of fish, and they keep monsters. It definitely, man, it would just suck if you were allowed to do it again. Guys would do it.
We do have a question from Casey. She's he's saying, would gobies live in the Susquehanna? Probably get destroyed by the catfish, wouldn't you think?
I don't know if they would. I mean, did she say would they or do they?
Would gobies live in the Susquehanna?
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. So the gobies are living. What I've noticed up there is the gobies tend to stay in the clearest water. Like there's tributaries up there to the St. Lawrence that run tannic water, like black water.
Yeah.
It's like it's the color of tea. And the gobies don't live in that. You never see gobies. You never get goby bites if you're fishing in that water. You'll catch bass, but you don't get any of those goby bites. So they like the cleaner water. They stay away from the dirty water. And, the way the Susquehanna is so volatile, it can be clean one day and then 2 days later just be chocolate milk. I don't think the gobies would like that. But apparently they're living in they are living in some tributaries up there in New York. I have heard that, I guess the Mohawk River has them in it now. And there's canal systems that are, so I guess they would adapt. I don't know. Yeah, they probably could survive. I know people always joke around and tell me to bring them back. I certainly wouldn't want to get. You could get in big trouble for doing that. I would be surprised if people have done it, though. I'm sure people have tried doing it. They are. When you're fishing the bottom on the St. Lawrence or on the Great Lakes, you're constantly getting bites from gobies.
Yeah, I heard that.
I mean, you do catch them a lot, and you catch. I mean, it would be easy for somebody to catch them and bring them down here and let them go, but I wouldn't want to do it. I mean, you could get in big trouble for it.
Oh, you'd probably get a serious fine for that.
Oh man, I mean, that would be.
You introducing a new invasive species,
exactly. You get in big trouble for that. Yeah, I won't want. I don't know if they would survive or not. You'd have to really, the way that the gobies ended up in the St. Lawrence River was through the St. Lawrence Seaway, through the big tanker ships that go in and out of there. So they came from Asia, and so the way that those ships work is when they're empty, they have to suck up ballast water to keep them floating right, so they don't really probably flip over. And these ships, would suck up ballast water over in Asia and probably suck hundreds or if not thousands of these things up, and then make their way over to the St. Lawrence. And once they get loaded up, they dump their ballast water, and they're just dumping these. To really, I mean, you'd have to dump thousands and thousands and thousands of them in probably for it to ever do anything. I don't think it would work. No. They probably, I mean, if you released gobies in the Susquehanna, I mean, they would just get gobbled up right away.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
They would get gobbled up by the catfish or the bass. I mean, they wouldn't stand a chance.
Yeah. Another question. Where do you think we are as far as the spawn? Still pre-spawn, or do you think some have spawned?
I don't believe any have spawned yet. The water temperature has to hold in the mid to high 50s.
Yeah.
I mean, it has to be get there and then hold there for a number of days, and they'll start spawning. We just weren't there yet, and the water temperature today, I had 47 degrees, so we're still 10 degrees away from. Yeah. I mean, not to say every now and then I'm sure that there's some fish that are on something happens and maybe one tries to spawn or something like that, but it's a very small. You think
they migrate to the spawning area and then move backwards if the water cools, or do they, once they get there, they stay there until the water temperature is right?
They're on their way. Some of them have already made it there. Some of them are on their way. I don't think they go backwards. They probably just find someplace comfortable nearby and wait for it to warm back up and continue the migration, or they never stop and they're still continuing to migrate. It might not all be water temperature that's moving them. It could be light, with the days getting longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if
And
the water temperature would drop, into the 30s or something like that, that's really going to freeze them up. But once it drops, 42 degrees, 42-degree water is not cold for smallmouth. I mean, it feels cold to them coming from 57, but after it sits there for a couple days, they'll move around a lot in 42-degree water.
well, this week coming up, we got some warm weather coming, so
yeah, I mean, it
should warm things up.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be another week or two, and they'll probably start, but it'll go through May. It does seem like things are pushed back a little bit this year.
Yeah.
It's definitely late. But
we'll do one more question. We're running on almost an hour and 45 minutes here. Phil Good is asking, Joe, are you catching muskies on the river?
Yeah, we catch some. I don't target muskies on the Susquehanna River. I haven't spent a whole lot of time.
Yeah, but they bite.
We catch them fishing for bass. We caught a really big muskie 2 weeks ago. Marge caught that lady. Marge caught it.
Yeah,
it was the biggest muskie we've ever caught out of the Susquehanna.
Wow.
A 48.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
I fished. We probably have caught 10 muskies this spring now.
Okay.
I bet we've caught. I mean, most of them are smaller, like under 30 inches. I would say we did get a 39.
I know Sean caught one in the wintertime.
Yeah, I caught one up on the Juniata this winter.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Juniana's got a bunch of them. If he's asking about muskies, maybe most of the muskies pictures that I post are from the St. Lawrence River, like those big muskies.
Yeah, those were huge.
Yeah, those I do enjoy
50
fishing
plus.
I do enjoy fishing for them. Yeah, dude, I've got 6 fish now at 55 inches and bigger.
Wow.
Which is not even, I mean, around here that's not even believable.
Yeah.
I mean, there is some luck involved. But last year I got one that was 57 and a half.
Wow.
They don't get a whole lot longer than that. It's crazy seeing one like that. If he's asking musky questions, I don't know, maybe he saw some of those pictures. That's why I bring it up. But
yeah,
those muskies come from the St. Lawrence. Those super tankers. There's big ones up there. And that's a shell of what it used to be too. That used to be a lot better. The gobies actually, they say that they've wiped the muskie population out. Imagine that.
Yeah, that's crazy to think.
Because muskies dump their eggs. Muskies dump their eggs and don't guard them.
Ah, so the gobies just are free.
And the gobies just gobble them up. And the recruitment up there, like you don't catch a whole lot of small fish up there. Some of the tributaries have them. And the tributaries are the only thing keeping that thing alive, I believe, at this point.
Yeah.
But the area of that river that was known for having the biggest ones, they don't hardly catch any of them anymore, and that's because those were all muskies that would spawn. They're all muskies that spawned in the St. Lawrence. Or they used to. The St. Lawrence has changed so much over the past, 30 or 40 years. 40 years ago, that water, there were no gobies, and the water was dirty, cloudy. And then zebra mussels, they also came in on the ships, and that's why the water's so clear. So everything is kind of changing. And I mean, it could get to the point where those muskies almost go extinct in that system. I don't know if they ever would go completely, but it's not at all, what it used to be. There are a lot of them. There's a lot of them down here. I mean, it seems like every year we do catch more of them as a bycatch to bass fishing. On the main stem of the Susquehanna, the Juniata has them. All the tributaries have them. But I don't know. Maybe I'll get into fishing for them down here. It kind of sucks because like the biggest one if I catch a 48 incher on the St. Lawrence River, I don't even take a picture of it.
Wow.
I mean, if a client caught it, I would obviously take a picture of it, but I've caught enough of them up there now where if it's not 50 inches, you just throw them back. And even a 50 incher, it's like, dude, I've got so many pictures of fish like this. I don't know. And you're never going to catch something like that down here. I mean, even a 48 is a freaking giant, but I don't know. They do get, some of the muskies down here do get thick. There are, in the fall and over the winter, I've seen pictures of guys with like 44 inches that are freaking thick. And it would be, to catch something like that, that would be very exciting. I don't know. From where I'm living at now, in Duncannon, I do have a lot of good musky water around me, and I believe this coming winter, if we have a mild winter where it doesn't ice up, I'm sure I'll get out there and mess around with it. Yeah, but I don't target muskies in the spring, and I don't guide for them either. Every now and then on the St. Lawrence, I'll have a client, somebody that I'm comfortable fishing with that twists my arm into doing it, but it's not something I really want to do. If I can stay, my answer to it is if I can stay busy guiding for bass, I'm just going to stay busy guiding for bass and, maybe catch muskies for fun.
There you go.
Oh,
all right. Well, Joe, you got anybody you want to shout out? Any sponsors, anything like that?
Also, where can folks, book a trip with you too?
Yeah. I don't need to say anything about sponsors. So the website, the business is Susquehanna Smallmouth Guides. We have a website. If you Google Susquehanna Smallmouth Guides, obviously it's going to pop up. We have a Facebook page. I'm on Instagram. You can send an email through the website if you'd like, or contact me through social media. My schedule is filled out right now until June. So, but there are a handful of us, I have guys that, I fill my schedule first, and then, I got guys that, help out with overflow. There's 5 of them, and I believe they have a little bit of scattered availability at this spring. They're all really good fishermen, tournament proven, and just, they're guys that, the guys that guide for me. If I was to show up at a tournament and any one of them would be there, I would be worried.
That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, they're good guys. But yeah, that's the best way to get a hold of me, through the website or through social media. If you want to get out, it would look like, maybe sometime this summer. I have a few days open this fall. I know my schedule's completely filled up on the St. Lawrence in the fall, but I think October might be filled already too. September, maybe a few open days. But yeah, hit me up. Good
thing. Well, we appreciate you coming on, Joe, and sharing stories and stuff like that, and talking about the Susquehanna.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll see you out there some point this summer.
Yeah. Good luck, man. Guys, both of you, I'm sure you're going to get those big fish this spring.
Our tournament season's just about to start, so we'll get into them.
Yeah.
Cool. Appreciate you taking the time out tonight to come on and talk to us. Thanks for everybody that stayed on and was listening. This podcast will be posted, so you'll be able to go back and watch it. Thanks again for watching, and thanks, Joe, for your time.
Yep, thanks, guys.
We appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon, man. Good luck.
Yep. Take care, guys. Thanks. See ya.
Thank you.
All right, Sean. Right. Another interesting episode on the Susquehanna River.
Lots of good stuff, man. We'll keep them coming, though, guys. Keep tuning in. We appreciate you, everybody who's taking the time to listen, especially hanging out with us for an hour and 48 minutes. That's awesome, guys. And we will try to continue bringing you amazing content and guests, and keep filling up all these shows. So,
and we'll do the giveaway the next episode. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, take it easy, and we'll catch you next week.
Thank you for tuning in to the Paddle and Fin Podcast Network. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, for future shows, like, follow, share, and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you check out our individual channels and accounts too. Want to be a guest on one of our shows and talk of adventures, gear, or products? Contact us. Thank you for watching The Noob Show with Matt Gibson, Chasing the Tide, Dustin Nichols, The Rusty Hook with John Rapp, The River Run with Adam Fraser Pross, May Contain Fishing with Daniel Woodcock, Chasing the Twenties with Carlisle Esterly and Sean Lavery, Friday Night Bites with Brian Schiller. Thanks for tuning into the Paddle and Fin Network. Subscribe and always wear your PFD.